Today on What Went Wrong, holy 100 episodes. Wow. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've made over 40 feature films. And today is our 100th episode of What Went Wrong. So apparently we've had a lot to talk about. But today, since it is the 100th anniversary, I wanted to bring on three of, if not the oldest Ponderous veterans that are still with us today, at least damn near. I know you're going to be the oldest veteran. Yeah. You're 97, and you beat Jake, so, but not Brad. Yeah. But Brad's off in Corpus, doing the married thing. Yeah. Don't get married.
Shout out
Don't
to
get
Brad.
married.
You poor dumb bastard.
Bradley Bates.
So what we're going to do today is we're just going to reminisce in general. We're not going to have a necessarily specific topic, but we're going to be talking about our experiences with Ponderous and Not So Sane, but we want to go back to the early days and kind of discuss a little bit about the way things were and the way things are and how we've jumped from one place to another.
Sure, you want to do that? That might that might wreck your ratings, man.
And I think and Tye's a good one because he hasn't been with us since 2006, 2007.
2007.
So you've missed 15 years of growth.
Yeah.
Now, just a little tidbit. We'd like to introduce Tye A Fish. This is his first time with us here. He played Hal. The very first role you played was Dr. Fish. And those of you who are familiar with the Innocent Saga, Dr. Fish was eventually played by Sergio Cantu. But you were always the original Dr. Fish because we were working at Casa Bonita in Denver, Colorado. And
I was a rave DJ, and my call name was Dr. Fish.
Yeah. And I remember you were applying for a job at Casa Bonita, and I came up, I was turning in my tips or my receipts or whatever, and I saw you applying for the job, and I walked up to you. Do you remember this? And I walked up to you, and I said, "Don't work here." And I grabbed a quarter and a straw, and I put the quarter through the straw through the quarter and ran away.
And then we became friends.
Well, the next time we saw each other, you'd been hired. You were on the floor, and it was apparently, I think you said it was like you had a miserable experience that day, and
well, it was awful. They put me in here, you're gonna go work at the cave. You get 3 tables all night. It's like, oh, gee, thanks. I go home for $5.
And I came up behind you and I stuck my fingers in your ribs and said, "Give me your dough." And at that point,
then we became friends.
Yeah, and we were at IHOP, talking about time travel, and I was telling you my blue moon theory about the spiral and everything. And I remember you went, and then you ran away, and I was like, I already scared him off.
And then I brought back science books.
Yeah, and you said,
"This is what I've been reading."
Yeah, and then you opened up a page and said, "It like this," and it was a spiral, just like I created.
You're ahead of your time.
Exactly. Oh, the problem is I'm only 5 minutes ahead.
Yeah. And you get the next little spiral over, you'll be a little bit faster.
And I said, I'm making a movie called Blue Moon, and I need a mad scientist. Will you play it?
Sure. You ever been in a movie? No. Did you know how to do anything? No. You got to work a computer? No.
Pretty commonplace for your films there, isn't it?
So for the next few years, we ran around, make movies together. Return to Innocence, you came down. I think that was probably the first time you got to meet Tye. You met him on Blue Moon.
At Blue Moon, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Return to Innocence, that was a quality film.
You know what? Return to Innocence, if we'd have had more opportunity to spend more time on it, it would have been a lot better. That was the biggest problem. It was just so rushed.
Well, the biggest thing was the battery inside of the camera because it kept going fast and slow and fast and slow and trying to overdub the audio. It just looked like, "How you doing, Jeff?
Yeah.
Did you have a good day?"
It's a martial arts film, man. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, that was a thing. I think with that movie, if we'd have had the ability maybe to dub our lines live or to do different, that would have been better.
Well, I had just listened to the Robert Rodriguez director commentary on El Mariachi, and he said how he did it was he'd shoot because the camera was too loud for him too, but he didn't. He had the crystal synced camera, so it was all right. But he would shoot the scene and then have everybody play it out again and just record the audio at that point. and then he would fix it then. So I was like, well, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But our camera would, so it wouldn't quite be 24 frames per second exactly. So that was a major pain in the butt.
Well, and I remember the whole budget went to developing the film.
Yeah, and the transfer
Yep.
and the transfer to 3/4 because okay, we'll just transfer to 3/4 and get a VHS dub, and I'll edit on 3/4. Well, after we developed it and got the 3/4 transfer, we didn't have any money to edit on 3/4, so I had to edit on the VHS. And after we made it, we thought, we got something. So we drove. Me, and Jennifer drove to LA and figured we just start knocking on doors, trying to show our film to
Leaving
agents.
copies of movies in like studios, elevators. Like, someone's gonna find it and call us.
Yeah.
I know it. They're gonna give us $1 million.
Yeah, well,
That's how you
everyone-
do it, folks.
yeah.
That's exactly how you do it.
I mean, if you're an actor or filmmaker, let me just say, and this is going to sound, you're going to go, you did what? But to experience what it is to be a filmmaker and what the market and what it's like, just without an appointment, without anything at all, just walk into CAA,
Yeah.
the biggest talent agency in the world, into their lobby and introduce yourself as a filmmaker with a little VHS movie. And is there anybody who would like to speak to us? And say, but we made a movie for $7,000.
And we're proud of it.
There's some people that would like to speak to you. That's for sure. Not in these offices, though.
Here, let me make a call. Security.
And then I think then the second second film was Tag in 1997, which 98. I apologize. It was 98, which we call the original Tag, which had a buddy of our Tom Weinbrecht in there as Carl Reno, and at that point we had upgraded to a new camera, the High 8, and we were like, hey, we hit the big time now. And and I actually had an actual edit controller so I could make my precise edits. But still, it had its issues. Yeah. And we have talked in previous episodes.
We
about
learned a lot about special effects on that one.
Yes,
Don't
and
plug people on the walls.
and
A
electrocution.
football and an M80 and a condom full of blood makes a great blood shot. I mean,
Most awesome bloodshot I've ever seen anywhere.
And I forgot. I don't think we've talked about that because we've talked about how I said, "Hey Ty, go get me some drug dealers," and you went down and you got drug dealers. I meant actors to play drug dealers.
That's not what you said, though.
But
my white kidnapper van.
I was just about to say, you rolling up to downtown Fort Collins when this creepy kidnapper van with everything except free candy written on the side of it.
I just fling open the side door. Who wants to be in a movie? I get like 5 to 7 people actually get in the van.
Drive away.
They're very trusting in Fort Collins.
Yeah, apparently.
It's just my charisma.
They see the white van. It's drug dealers. They're like, well, we know this routine already. Everybody just get in the damn van. We'll be out in 24 to 48.
And then again, when Beaker from the Muppets pops out of the van, how scared can you be?
That's what I'm saying, man. Either this dude's about to cook some stuff for us or we're going to prison, man. One
Through
of
the
the
door,
two.
he's like, what he thinks he's saying is, who wants to be in a movie? He's like, me, 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 me. And they're like, I just have to go see what this is about. I don't know what this means, but it's.
Well, I'm
it
already
sounds
stoned, so let's do it. I also got his gang members that way, too.
Yes, yeah, but we don't delve too much into that. Then we worked on Night Watchmen together. You came down. You had a small part in that, but you were going to play Hal in the second episode of Night Watchmen, but we ran out of time and money, and but that too. I remember you had to get home like a couple days early, and we were trying to find you an airplane ticket home, and you were on the phone. And I remember being in the hotel room, all of our actors, getting ready to shoot a scene, and we're trying to call. And apparently you couldn't get very high price. You kept on getting high prices, and you were like, "That's the best you can do." Airplanes are falling out of the sky because the 9/11 had just happened. Planes are falling out of the sky. That's the best price you can get me. And I'm sitting there going, "Holy Doug, you're never gonna get home. They're tracing that call now."
Hell down, man.
And now let's bring Carlos Dub over into this.
Salute.
Because we're gonna bring you both into this other question that I want to bring. But of course, we've talked. This isn't your first time here. We've talked about cartel killers.
We don't want to talk about cartel killers anymore.
And then Barrio Angels, and the craziness and insanity of Bad Mojo.
That's where I saw you first. Damn.
Barrio Angels?
It took me until just now. I've only been hanging out with you for 48 hours.
How you doing? My name's Carlos.
Hey, I'm
It's nice to
Tye.
meet
Nice to meet you.
Why is this dude hugging me and telling me how cool I am, man? I think I've seen this dude.
Who the are you?
Maybe. I mean, I can't tell. They kind of all do look alike. I don't really. Maybe.
There's Mario Angels.
You both need so much Jesus. I can't.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
So you were early days, us running around with VHS, high 8, and you came on board in like the Canon XL2 days.
Yeah. And I was excited, man. I was like, man, look at what these fools doing, man. They doing all kinds of stuff on the set. It's a big set, man. Until the hearts started coming out and stuff. And then I was like, man, come on, man. I thought this was a big set.
I still remember our first boom mic was like a broken microphone stand, and we just kind of winded a microphone around it and just like hung it.
Little $10 mic we got, a stick.
We bought it at Radio Shack.
This'll work.
Yeah, we're gonna do our lines now.
Yeah, by the first day it's broken and it's dangling from the stick, and then the ball of the microphone is dangling even further.
You gotta get the boom out of the shot.
Just
Tye.
keep it out of the shot. Just keep it out of the shot. We're good.
So now we are, umpteen years later, we are working on the Tag Conspiracy. We're in the middle of production, and I'm just going to kick it out there. The differences between the Tag Conspiracy and Tag and Barrio Angels. Go.
Money.
Equipment, actors.
Where do we start?
Vision is the thing I would say.
Props,
writing. In all seriousness, I think I always thought Barrio Angels had a shot. I just liked it. It was different. Coming from the music industry, I had never really been around other people that were doing that kind of stuff. So I always thought Barrio Angels had a shot. And then the whole bringing in the gangsters. I actually showed up with real gangsters too, Tye. It's kind of weird. But just right. So just kind of incorporating that into what you had into the story, and then seeing what you did with that story. I always thought it had a shot till I saw it.
I like how the game has evolved.
But yeah, I think the writing is just there's more to the writing. There's more to grab from the writing. We were kind of talking about it last night. The way the dialogues kind of evolved, even some of the characters too. I think that's some of the biggest differences that I've seen.
Hal,
Yes, Carl?
is there something going on with you and your phone?
Is it in your business if there was?
No, it is not.
That again, man. My partner. Shout out to Leslie, man. She's just so very. She's locked in, And I didn't see any of that stuff on Barrio Angels, man. Especially with the, I didn't see any of that kind of stuff, man. And so that's a huge difference.
I like how the story has evolved, because like for me and all this is my third time being in Tag, so, and this one's completely different. Like it's a different story, but like how you and I've talked, it's not. And the game has actually evolved. It's more coherent. Hal isn't as, even though he's
Allison, I need some help.
A number of psychologists have offices in the area. Shall I connect you?
I don't need that type of help.
but
He's still
like
batshit crazy, but he's logically batshit.
logically batshit crazy instead of just being
Well, that's actually where I came with that line. She calls you a psychotic.
And you're a psychopath. We all have our issues.
I'm a different type of psychopath.
Oh, how so?
I'm a psychopath by choice.
And that's kind of who he is. It's like somewhere along the way I could go fucking nuts right now, or I could take a breath and relax. Nah, I'm gonna go this way.
And in Barrio Angels, you got crazy people like that are just vampires, right? And so it's that kind of a story is just it changes, and then you jump over into Tag, and the way you've done that, the way that whole thing is written and changed, the way that the characters actually change. It's really cool to see the difference in some of the films that I've been in with you.
I think probably one of the biggest things that I see is the professionalism.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember when we were doing Blue Moon, we were young and stupid, and we were filming it on a camcorder.
Now we're old and stupid.
Yeah. And filming it
on better high price camcorders.
We have more money and better toys. That's kind of one of the nice things about it. But literally the professionalism, like the lighting, being able to have the lighting that you have on set now, it sets the mood where it's actually easier to be able to act than trying to sit there and picture it all in your brain.
You had brought up I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's one of the things, not the vision of things, but also the history of things. We've learned a lot in 23 years, 24 years. And so the things that we didn't know, the things that you didn't know to do, now we know how to do. The way that you can use the computer, the way that you can use the different way you're shooting now. Now that you know, I want to put this thing in the shot. To do that, I need a certain type of shot in order to put the thing in the shot. And so now you have a better idea, as a vision, of what it is you're looking for and how to make that happen, how to produce that effect. And so now, as opposed to when we're just kind of like, just get the shot and just get it done. Now you're like, no, I need this specific thing because I need this specific thing. And I have to have that in order to get the rest of it to work. And that itself is something that we never had back then. Because we didn't know any better.
The lighting is a big thing, too. I remember even working on Barrio Angels and Cartel Killers and all those, like, you never really worried about the lighting. It was just kind of like...
That was, I've always, that's always been hey, Brett, how's the lights? Can you see the actors? Yes. Action.
And I remember that clearly because I was, no pun intended, but I remember being on set like, they ain't gonna see me in this damn film, man. I need a lot of lights on me, man. And you were just like, fuck it, as long, the garage scenes, as long lifting up the garage and using headlights and.
Well, that's also a little, and take this however you want to, but that's also when we were evolving as filmmakers, that's when, I guess you could say, kind of the social justice kind of came in. So without going to school with a lot of the learning, you don't think, well, you have to light,
right?
You have to light darker complexion people differently. Because if you thought that way, that would be racist.
Yeah.
So you didn't even think about that, and it was just put a light on him, just like I put a light on Tye. But just sitting here,
yeah,
there's a difference in that. But if you were to, it gets in your kind of head. Well, am I allowed to think like that?
Well, what about on the opposite side too? Am I allowed to ask? Hey, man, can I get some more lights on me, man? I'm dark, man.
I'm against the black wall. I'm gonna.
Help, man. I thought you wanted me in this movie, man. You want me to be a prop?
Yeah, because now we're like, the black guy wants his own.
I could be a token or I could be a prop, man. Which one do you want me to do, man?
Hey, the black prop needs some light.
Yeah, man.
And someone get him some light and maybe some fried chicken and shut him the hell up.
He ain't gonna shut up without no watermelon first, though. Get him some watermelon. Lord, he needs some watermelon. But where did we go with that one? But you had started talking about it last night, like lighting. Like you started bringing out the way that you wanted to originally do Tag, and I think the question, I kind of get excited about this whole conversation because this was kind of the question last night, was the evolution of Tag, if we can go there, right? The three versions of Tag, shall we? And then and you can actually see the differences. Even some of the clips that I was watching last night, you can see the differences in how the game has changed, but also in how the writing has changed, even in the same story. And you talked about the lighting last night, which I thought was really key because in the way that you changed Tag, you couldn't do it a specific way because you were focused on what you needed to do specifically for the lighting. And so you brought in the different colors of the lights and it made it pop in a different way, but in the way that you saw it, not necessarily in the way that you wanted it. And so you can definitely see a difference between that and all the other stuff that we did back then when you didn't care about the lighting too. Like, you know,
Well,
like
on the way home last night, you had brought that up because you said I noticed you were really getting stressed out on that lighting because it was the standoff. It was when you're about to do the standoff, and I'm running back and forth with the light. I'd shoot, and I'm doing, and he could tell, and he asked me, he's like, "Why are you?" I said, "Well, because I would get the lighting the way I wanted, but then I'd see the lights in the shot. So I would have to move the lights out of the shot, but now my lighting went away. So it was trying to find that balance and get that. And I wouldn't, again, back in the day, I just, can you see the
Can you
actors?
see Dub? Are you sure you can see Dub? Check twice. Make sure you can see him.
I see his eyes and his teeth.
He's good. Action. Dub, go. Walk in. Punch Smokey in the face. But even that, right? Like there is no guy named Smokey in this.
Right. Yeah.
And that to me, I think kind of shows the growth. And while it's cool to always kind of have that little, there's always a guy named Smokey, and that connection to that, going back to that writing, it kind of writes that part out of it where there's no room for that kind of. It's fun. I mean, we're definitely still having fun, but there's no there. It's more professionally serious, right? Than what we used to do back in the day.
Scenes, even though scenes take a long time, scenes are going. They seem to go quicker, but also once again, I mean, it's been 13 years since I've done anything with you, so your memory just takes things that it likes, and you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot how much fun it is when you're getting slammed over and over and over again into a mat by the She-Ra,
y'all gonna see, man. Watch, but the face, that's her. Woo.
Well, it's along with all that stuff. Yeah, the lighting is something that you do, the vision, the acting, the professionalism, but it's basically you can all tie down the same thing. The passage of time has created a better storyteller, because we've seen. That's the whole point of what went wrong, is learning what went wrong in the past so we don't do it again. Well, what did we do wrong this time? What did we do wrong in this film? Why did this not go right? What didn't go right here? And what we've seen is every single movie got better. It's one of the things whenever I've been doing anything and I screw something up, the one thing I can always say is, hey, I always find new things to screw up on. I don't screw up on the same stuff as before. I find whole new ways to stuff up. But that's part of growth. I've learned to not up the stuff from before, and I'm going to up something in a different way. But it leads you to then get to the point to where you're able to tell the story you want to tell without having the innocuous dumb stuff knock you out of it, without having it be lighting problems or an actor problem or someone not doing what they're supposed to be doing problems. The acting core you have now is better than it's ever been. The professionalism you've had now is better than it's ever been. The lighting is better than it's ever been. The storytelling is better than it's ever been. And so we've gotten to the point...
And still you hire me.
Well, you know what? The judges of society have to have their champion Tye.
Everybody needs a Dr. Fish, man.
We need that charity to...
We got to have a charity case. The dumb kid gets to come play sometimes.
Can I just say I still can't believe I'm on set with you dudes, man. Seriously, man. Because Brett introduced me to his world, and it was you guys.
Yeah.
Like this was when the first night that Brett and I actually connected enough where he wasn't scared enough to hang out, where we could actually kick it alone.
Okay, now I'm gonna step. I was never scared.
You're
acting like you're the first hip hop artist.
Where's the other cameras? I wasn't the only first hip hop artist. I was the first hip hop artist gangster. That was the real gangster. Real gangster.
There was, what's the name of the guy?
Capone.
Yeah.
I remember.
I went
I
on
like
road
Capone.
trips with
Capone's my
Capone.
dude. Capone, shout out to Capone. Capone's my dude.
Yeah, I went on a road trip to Vegas with Capone with 3 other gangster hip-hop artists. Driving through the desert.
Capone didn't mess around. Shout out to the 81Gs. Look, listen, see, we talking about reminiscing, man. Those are my boys, man. But the first night that I felt comfortable hanging out with a white dude, how about that? Can we say that?
Let's go there.
So, he set me down and introduced me to his world. He was like, I did this film. I was asleep halfway through most of it, but he introduced me to you. And so to see you guys on that, and then throughout that, in every other film that I've been in or anything I've ever worked on with Brett, knowing that you guys are in the back of that story and everything that we do, it was always kind of like, man, that is dope. I want to work with those dudes. And then we worked together without even knowing that we worked together, without even knowing who we were. And then apparently, I guess the same thing just happened with us too. Dad, you really are somebody famous, Carlos. I have seen you. So that was cool.
What I think is funny is how long you and I went without talking, not just because we didn't want to or anything, but just because of life. You know, me moving to Connecticut and things like that. And out of the blue, what was it, like 19 months ago, you shot me a text. I'm like, holy shit, it's the same number. Because I've always wanted to call you. I don't even know if it's the same number or not. So I was like, oh, and then, what was it, 3 months later, you were like, hey, I think I'm going to redo Tag. You want to do it? I'm like, sure. And COVID happened, and that only took like 18 months to do it. But I guess, in some ways, I think it's, God's blessing in that, because everything is the right time, right place. So I think everything's coming to the right timing on it. But I think it's cool just to be kind of reconnected with you guys, because it's been 23 years since I've seen you. It's just like we picked up where we didn't leave off.
Yeah, you walked in the door and it was just
hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Tell me about the last 20 years.
Well, there's a couple things to tell.
I am gonna jump back real quick when we were talking about storytelling. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. But I do also want to give credit to Mr. Price over here, because how many drafts of how many drafts of the script did I send y'all? And the reason is because I'd send out a draft of the script, and I get a text back, no. 15 minutes later, no.
Because I read fast.
Well, I gotta tell you, that's definitely a credit, man. Because I remember back in the day, I would send stuff to Brett. Man, why are you saying this, man? This dude wouldn't say this. Shut up, Dub. I know what I'm doing. All right, man.
The thing is, there are things I've been screaming at Brett for years. Everything from the rules of the universe to why are we doing this. Well, why is one of my biggest questions. One of the things I always learned, my father taught me, people, is like, whenever you're talking with someone and they're telling you something, or there's something going on, or they want you to participate in something, the biggest question has always been why. Why is this happening? What's going on? Why are we doing this? Why are they doing that? Why? And so my biggest question has always been why. And so he'll send me this script and about something going on. I was like, why is he doing this? Why are they doing that? Why does he say this? What's going on with this? And he's like, invariably in the past it was always like, well, I want this cool scene. Okay, but if you're going to connect it to something else, why is it happening? And so that was always one of the things. But I've always been thankful recently that you'd have that faith in me to send me a script and have me just tell you no.
But that's what is legitimately. I mean, you can see it. You can definitely see that difference. I think you've definitely allowed yourself to accept a little bit more from other people than you have in the past. Also,
it takes me a day or two.
Yeah, well,
it's got to set in, and I need that time.
There's a procedure I usually do. I mean, it's not quite as simple as me saying no. There's more to it than that, but it's basically what's happening. Is I'll send him a message and I'll be like, okay, I just want to have a couple of questions about this, and I'll say and whatever it happens to be, I'll go through this like a sentence or two about the setup, blah blah blah, and then the hook is, then why is this, that, and the other thing happening? Mm-hmm. And he's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, okay, well, I like this stuff, and I know you're trying to go
defense mode kicks in. Defense mode
immediately.
Kicks in, and I'll say, well, it's because of this, because I'm like, I don't want to change this. I just don't want to change this.
And I'll tell him, I says, okay, well, you're doing this, and I like the way it's thinking. I understand you're going for this scene, and I know you want to have so-and-so say this, but what then are you going to do about this, and what about this other thing, and how is that going to affect so-and-so in the future? And he's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And even characters that I've seen, like the Jeff character, he's gone through a big transformation. And then there's other characters we have, certain scenes that he would write because he wants this great visual. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but the characters that you put in there would never let this happen. You know, or the character that you've written for this person to be, if they are who you have written, how in the world will they have let this to happen? And he's like, And so that's one of the things. So I try to, it's not as simple as me just saying no, because they wouldn't pay attention to that. It is me writing and saying, I like what you're doing. I understand what you're going for. I understand what's trying to happen, what you're trying to get to happen. But A, B, C. And then I just kind of chuck it at him. And if he can explain it, and typically what will happen is, while he's explaining it to me, he's like,
I'm going to change it.
And that's usually what happens, because all I've ever done is just make him, I guess, defend his idea. And if he can defend his idea, and it's not always. I mean, there's been times I'm like, what is this? What is that? I don't understand what's going on here. And he's like, well, it's because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Well, a good example of that is I think the game itself.
The game
and that's
itself.
everybody.
Yeah.
And just when I was sending out the text of the lights on the guns, and the responses I was getting were, nah. There wasn't any excitement. I was like, okay, people aren't seeing this the way I am.
Didn't understand it. Mm-hmm.
And then I sent the script out. So when I was getting the timid response from the game, I because I had sent those texts out, I kind of knew it was coming.
You were super excited.
And I was really excited about the game, but I knew everybody else wasn't. And I was like, okay, this is going to be one of those leaps of faith for me that I know in my head what this is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to fight for this one because I'm going to get responses from people, even you. And I got some. And it wasn't until it was on film.
Yeah.
And until you could see it in action.
It made sense.
That it clicked.
We're going to play a game of tag. One of your firearms will become activated. The light will turn from red to green, signifying that you are it.
Yeah. Well, we did the thing about the game. I was like, well, one of the things I did about the game was, why is this happening the way it is? The game itself didn't bother me. Although I did have a thing about, we're playing Hunger Games and Demolition Man and all that. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then the question I had was, why would, and the way it was originally written, I think I was like, why would then Hal do this? Wouldn't he do something else? Why would this happen? I mean, if I was thinking, if I'm a super genius, if I'm a mathematical mastermind, if I got $3.7 billion and I want to take down this guy or do this with that guy or do something with this person, why would I do it like this? And so, well, no, it was not about being a psychopath. It was a psychopath by choice. Therefore, he's not a psychopath. He chooses to be a psychopath. Therefore, his mentality is stable enough to understand, as I did, this is not a correct kind of, this will not achieve a solution that you're going for. There's too much risk. Why would you do it that way? And he was like, oh, yeah. So we changed a couple of, he changed a couple of things. And then we actually had a little sit down and come to Jesus about the game itself. And he explained, this is how I want to do this, I want to do that. And I got the game. The game made sense to me. What didn't make sense was some of the way that people were reacting to the game or were utilizing the game. But once, and then, because that's why he kept doing rewrites and other stuff like that. But once that kind of got squared away, at one point I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I get that. And then at one point I was just like, I got nothing else. I got nothing.
He sent me a text message talking about, man, I got these really cool lights for the guns. I was like, cool. That was it. That was all I had, man. But he was like crazy excited, man. He was like, man, they're going to do this with the lights, and I can't wait till the lights come in, and it's going to be red, and they're going to flip them to green. I was like, well, I read that shit in the script, Brett. I don't know what the hell you mean.
And then what happens when the first
then
time
I
you
saw
see
that I was like, whoa. Boom. It was like immediately it just all came together.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's cool about it is it's a really complex story. So, I've read the script several times, memorizing the lines, and then even being in it, it's just like, tomorrow will be the 4th day of shooting for me, and I'm still compiling the story in my head.
You know what I like? What I like about it too is, for me, when I'm on set, I actually feel the story. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand it when I got on set originally. And
I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of the actors, though. I'm talking about all of you.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, you can actually feel, you can feel the story developing while you're on set. So you feel that too then.
Yeah.
It actually feels like you're part of a soap opera.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've been on set where I actually feel the story now because it makes sense. Seeing a little bit of it as we're doing it, and then actually doing it, it makes me think about, do I need to make this facial expression here? How do I really need to say that now? Because now I can actually see it. Whereas I've been on other sets, or even some of your sets, where it's been the same thing. We set up and watch dailies, and I turn back around and do the same shit. You know, like I don't learn anything from that. But because there wasn't really much, it wasn't pushing forward while I was on set. It was just finishing the film. Right?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all.
They're like talking about the thing, maturity of, I call maturity of action. There is something that has, over the years, has increased our ability to create the story, discern the story, tell the story, and act accordingly over the years. Because now, instead of, where before we were kind of like haphazardly feeling our way through a darkened room, now we've been in this room enough times to know how to navigate our way through the story, how to create a story that both tells and has the vision that we want it to have, and then to be able to express it, and then be able to find actors with maturity of ability, capacity, and the wherewithal to be where they're supposed to be, to do what they're supposed to do. And that has all been something that has changed over the past 20, 30 years. Is before we were just kind of like making it up as we went along.
Pulling people, getting people out of white vans.
In white vans.
Come on, drug dealers! I got a white van for you. I'm trying to take you and put you in front of a camera. Everything a drug dealer wants to do.
And now we've got people.
We'll go.
Now we have people who are finding you. You know, he says, "Hey, Brett Mauser's doing a film. Oh, I want to be a part of it. I want to do this. Can I do this?" We have people auditioning to be in your films. You have people seeing your headshots. You have people who, when they show up on set, not only have their lines, most of them, if they're not, but have their lines set, have their character set, have the idea of what they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. They know their craft well enough, you know. And we've never had that. Well, we never. It's there's the maturity of action, the maturity of creation, the ability to look upon our past mistakes and steer ourselves toward what we want. And be able to, because that was, well, then we kind of steered ourselves where we want, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Wisdom, man.
And we weren't doing it. Wisdom. And wisdom and maturity.
Yeah.
The two things you need. The longer you do something, the better you get at it. Well, you've been at this for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you're getting really good.
Hi, I'm Brett Mausers, and I produce over 40 films.
But Lady Lawman, I think, was one of the first beacons in the dark, if you will, to where we could look at something that had been done and go, that was excellent. So much went right.
Lady Lawman was a legitimate transition I saw in you, in your films, and in the things that you've written.
Right, and part of the reason was you took the time for the lights. You took the time to get stressed about, I can see those, I can't see that one. No, I can't get the lights not where it's supposed to be. No, shoot that again. No, I need you to say it just like this. Shoot it again. No, I need this to happen. Okay, that was great, but that wasn't exactly what I needed. You know, hey, the actor got all the lines great. Well, yeah. Guess what? Now of course they're getting them right, because that's what. So now we're going past that.
Wisdom.
That you actually bring a really good point up with that, because before, when I was able to do tags, you let me ad lib a lot. And with this one, as I'm reading the script and as I'm seeing the story come around, I'm like, that is why it's written that way. And that's why sometimes I'll even stumble on a line, because that's so far away from anything how I would actually normally say it. So you have to like retrain your brain for 15 minutes until you get the line down, you know.
And
but
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You actually do that, and it's that type of cohesiveness of being able to see. It's like, oh, I have to do it this way. Don't try to change it up in your mind. Do it that way, because that's what actually is going to tell this particular part of the story.
That was always a problem in the past, where, especially when we were talking about the saga and certain things that are going on, certain lines you would say would affect something else that was happening down the way. So there were times where someone would make up a line or do something else. It's like, I need you to say this one specific thing, this one specific way. And now that we're getting into that again with Tag Conspiracy and some other conspiracies, of getting kind of back into the ponderous universe as it used to be. Not really into the universe, but kind of the idea of how that's happening. So the lines become very important. The professionals and the actors become very important.
I noticed back in the day, you know, we were talking about some of the older films. There was a lot of stuff that you would just allow. Like, you know, let's face it, some of the gangsters that I brought to you were not the greatest actors, right? And so I remember specifically there were certain times that you would change things on set that they could say that would work for whatever it is that you had for the scene. And I noticed on this one, on Tag, even on Lady Lawman, I noticed there were certain things that you were like, no, I need that said. No, you have to say here. Brett, it's here. Say it. And then when you see it, whatever, maybe it wasn't here.
Why does everybody keep asking me that tonight? Does the writer have spell check on?
Calling me that.
But I mean, whatever.
Yeah, close to it. Though.
Whatever. There are some of those. The line.
Yeah, I fought with Tye on Tag about taking down the government versus bringing down the government.
Over and over and
that
over.
was just.
And I was
yeah.
like, no, he could say take down or bring down. It's the same damn thing.
Oh no, it was take over. You said take over,
Mm-hmm.
and he kept on saying take over the government.
Yeah.
No, he's got to take it down or bring it down.
And I'm like, why can't he take it over? It's the same thing.
No,
and
it's
not.
not.
It's not. But you don't. If he had said take over the government, you would hear it and just be like, yeah, that's just what he's trying to do. But if you're watching it, you'll be like, well, he's not trying to take over the government, and so
He's trying to take it down.
And then so those are the intricacies, if you will, that I've noticed in the wisdom and the evolution of what it is that you do in your stories. You stick to the script, loosely. You let some stuff go, of course, but loosely you stick to the script.
Want to take over the government?
How is it that you, one man, plans on taking out the entire government?
I've become much more concerned in the past couple of whatever about your vision. It's one of the things whenever I'm working with actors or there's a question about something or whatever else, or I'm adding little things, like the Russian girl or something else. There's little things I wanted to add or little things I want to make sure. But the very last question I ask, is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're after? Because what I think looks cool, what I think would be neat is immaterial. It's not my goddamn film. That's one of the things that I've thought about, seeing how you've driven the ideas of what you have. And so the last thing I always ask when we're doing this, or when we're doing a scene, when I'm on a scene, when I'm watching someone else do a scene, is I always say, is that what you're looking for? Because if not, we'll do it again. Or if not, we'll do something else.
That's what I like to ask too, all the time. Is that what you're looking for?
Is that what you're looking for?
You've influenced me in that, but you've also talked about how you've had your come to Jesus moment about the fight scenes,
right?
And how, I've been able to show you that it's got to be cinematic, and we actually did that with you.
Yeah.
Now somebody brought that up that we were in. I think it was Joey. When you were fighting and you were in that chokehold and you were saying, well, this is how I would do it. This is if someone's fighting and getting me in this, I wouldn't lift him up like this. And so I told you, I said,
we
yes,
had
but
that
on
conversation.
camera it looks so much better and more powerful.
We talked about that too.
You and me talked about that.
We talked about that because in that, as a mixed martial artist, in practical situations, it's the first thing that you think about. If somebody's coming to do something, what does my muscle memory teach me? What is and based on what my muscle memory is teaching me, if you're trying to use a camera, if my muscle memory is teaching me this, it's not going to give you the shot that you're looking for. Because if he does this, I'm just going to do this, or left hand blue, right hand yellow, right? And if it doesn't work out, then it's not gonna come across to the people are going to look at it and say, he wouldn't do that. Like that's dumb, especially the people that are mixed martial artists or people that maybe might know that I'm a mixed martial artist. And then so when he was doing that, I'd be like, man, I would this dude up. Like I was like, Brett, yeah, Brett. And you were like, it's gonna be cinematic, just do it. And I was like, okay, you're right, just do it.
Well, and the move you did that we were looking at earlier, the move that you did to get away from one of the things we don't want to talk about all necessarily, but you did this one move, and I was like, that looks great. Not even close to what I would actually do, because that's my world is the gun stuff. And so when I saw it, in my old brain would have been like, no, you just do. But in my new way of thinking, oh, that was freaking awesome.
Well, we were talking about it on set while we were actually doing it because we had to change the feet positioning in order for that to happen.
Right.
Practically, there were certain things that there's no way that would have potentially happened. I don't have the gun training. I don't have anywhere near the gun training that you have. But I already still knew, just because of my martial arts training, practically there's no way that this would be able to happen without X, Y, and Z being able to happen.
Right.
And so you immediately came in and was like, we'll switch the feet. Yeah, But I didn't know cinematically. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, practically, I would need to put my right foot forward in order to actually make this happen. But how does that come across on the camera? And then I even asked you, Brett, if I change my foot, how's that going to look on the camera? Do it. Okay? and then
I was done, yeah, because I remember that specific moment where and it was like, well, how does because I got in the position and I went, oh, well, just change your feet. And I walked away and I was done.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, what about just do it? Because because instantaneously saw that vision. Because I knew it was all waist up.
Yeah.
Nobody would notice you went from here. Your foot went from here to there.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, and I didn't think about it that way. All I thought about was, well, the practicality of it. Mm-hmm. Well, if my left foot is forward, that's how I would be in a fighting stance. And if I put my right foot forward, trying to swing back around this direction, it's going to give you the shot that you need. But it's not going to be a practical stance, but I didn't doubt it again after after I saw the fight scene. I was like, all right, dude, I'd have that dude up. He grabbed me like that, but on camera it looked like he ain't gonna be able to touch me. So
yeah,
and it came out perfect.
It was one of those moments I had to have because Brett had told me before, do a fight scene, okay, and it was like 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, it wasn't long enough. I was like, you told me to do a fight scene. If I was in a fight scene, that's how long they take.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about this last night. And while, yes, you guys are seeing the cinematic, we're also shifting back towards that because the fights and I mean, I'm a John Woo guy. And when I first started making action films, because, watching Hard Boiled, it was the first time in 1998, 99. Yeah, it was earlier. That was 94.
Yeah.
Changed my life. That opening tea house scene, I was knocking on doors, telling people, "Come here, you got to see this movie." And I was like, "Hey, I got the Chinese, I got the John Woo movie. Great. Who the is John Woo? I don't know. Just come and watch this.
It's a movie. I don't know, but come watch it."
But yeah, more people died in the first 15 minutes of that movie than the last 3
intense.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movies
it was
combined.
Intense.
Yeah.
And I said, that's what I want to do. So that's what I was trying to do, and then I had started getting into the Innocent Saga and those films, and Hasso came on board. Mm-hmm. And no disrespect to him, awesome at what he does. Mm-hmm. But it was so much easier to just pass him the fights, and he put so much martial arts into it. Well, coming back to Tag, I was like, okay, I want to get back to the Gung Fu. I want to get back to those good, awesome fight scenes. But now we're on set, and it really happened on Sunday with the Merc fight.
With the Merc fight, when he was like, I want to have you flip me over the car and bounce me off the window. And I looked at the guy, and I'm like, no, Hal's going to shoot you.
Yeah.
Try to, boom.
Yeah, we had like 8 goons, that we were supposed to shoot. And I was like, I really appreciate what this guy's doing. But Hal's got 2 guns. He's the only dude with guns.
He's not fighting.
Yeah. So I said, get us 2 or 3 people pop right off.
He's not punching anybody in the face.
And one guy gets close enough to get to him, and that's raw. And then the one girl, and we gave an excuse for the one girl for him why you didn't just pop the girl, and that was allowed to get that fight. And it was when it's going to get edited, that thing's like 5-10 seconds.
What's her name?
Holly.
Shout out to Holly, man. As soon as I saw her, I was like, "How you about to get your ass whooped?" Holly is about to. Shout out to Holly, man. She's nice. She's huge. Yeah.
And that whole thing takes 5 to 10 seconds.
Right.
Our gunfights, our standoffs that we've shot so far, 5 seconds.
Dude, watching.
We'll get a standoff, but as soon as the first gun, as soon as that first gunshot goes off, within 5 seconds the scene's over.
Yeah.
It makes it more believable.
Yeah.
It's really gonna grab them in.
And Danny, the guy who was choreographing us on Sunday, he said it best. It was raw.
And they were loving it. I mean, that was a stunt group. That was a stunt guy troupe. I mean, that's what they do. And at the end of the day, they were happy. They were like, that was cool.
Yeah, there was absolutely no. Well, let's say there was relatively little physical anything. It was all gunfire.
Yeah, it was only me just bashing my elbow into a guy.
It's the only thing you ever did. One of the things, like I said,
flip him.
Well, there's that. And going through that stuff was becoming aware of the necessity for realism in what's happening, because there may have been a time in the past, I think maybe, where people were interested in the kooky weird stuff, but now with the advent of the John Wick movies, and even before that, when you had what was that one Matt Damon was in?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Oh, the Bourne.
The Bourne
Yeah.
stuff. There's a little too much, the fighting in that, but even then you get the realization that in a gunfight, or sorry, if you're going to bring your fists to a gunfight, you're going to lose. There's never been a time where I've ever fixed bayonets and gone hand to hand with anybody.
Philosophy.
Never happened. The other stuff has happened a lot more than that. And the reason is studying, I mean, if you just want to talk about the history of warfare, going from, sticks and stones to clubs to swords to, bows and arrows to crossbows to ballistas to all of this stuff. Even the engines of war have completely changed.
And you've always done that to get the upper hand.
You've always done that to get the upper hand, and the whole point of doing it is to have an unfair fight. There's never been a fight I've ever been in that was fair. I've always tried to have the advantage, either in firepower or multiple people on my side and less people on your side, or a knowledge that you don't have, or willingness to do things you're not willing to do. Okay, I've never, ever, ever had a fair fight, and I've won. Obviously, I'm still here, in almost every one I've ever been in. And the whole idea that you're going to have a hero or an anti-hero who has firearms, and then you're getting into a fist fight. I've never understood the whole idea. You see these movies where they put down the guns and we're going to fight it out like that. What? Really? I mean,
why?
Maybe in 1980s ninja movies they would do something like that, but that's not how the world works anymore. John Wick was not putting down his gun to have a fair fight, ever.
The only time he was fighting is he lost his gun.
He lost his gun or was out of ammunition.
Or got hit by a car.
But the idea is that knowing what I know about how stuff works and knowing it's all three, as I said, gun fights last 5 seconds or 2 days. They either are over quick or it's a battalion engagement where you level the city in the meantime. But realizing that the things I was doing for Brett that he wanted me to do were not what he wanted for the entertainment value, because I was stuck in my idea of practicality overall. This is real, and Brett's like, well, that's great, but I'm making a movie and I need people to be entertained by what we're watching. And so at one point, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I had a little come to Jesus, and I went, and now knowing that, now I can also step up and tell you and whoever else when they say to me, but that's not practical, to which I say, no, it's absolutely not practical.
But it's cinematic.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? Because we're not actually having a gunfight. We're making a movie about a gunfight, so who gives a about your practicality?
Man,
and they kind of go,
I've seen so many fights in films where I'm like, I have never in my life been in a fight and seen nothing like that happen. Real fights, like not put the gun down and let's fight one-on-one, because that's more of a fight to death at that point, right? But I've just films.
That's the big gladiator battle theater movie kind of thing.
But just regular standard films, right, where people getting into a fight and they do it. I'm like, man, what the?
It's gonna be scrappy.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. That's not a fight.
It's closer to the Dukes of Hazzard than anything I've ever seen. Those guys were scrapping and beating the crap out of each other and using chairs and whatever else. That's much more of what I'm familiar with. As opposed to the the kung fu of stuff I see in movies, and I'm like, okay, that looks cool, but is that what we're after?
It's not real.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so it fits in some places. In some places, that is exactly where it needs to be. But that's not your vision anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's the wisdom. It's the wisdom. You take the knowledge that you've gained from all of the other things that King Solomon, right? You take the knowledge that you've gained and you've evolved that into wisdom, or you turn that into wisdom.
Well, I think the lesson for viewers and other independent filmmakers and amateur filmmakers, what have you, wanting to make films, the lesson that we can learn is experience makes you that better filmmaker, but also the not giving up, because we've been doing this since like 90. And once we started getting out there, especially with Barrio Angels and Serial Rabbits and all these movies, to get something on Amazon or Netflix or Blockbuster, and then be on IMDb, to see the reviews. And I mean, even Lady Lawman had stuff, which we started researching, and we go, well, who's this person? Who's this person?
An idiot.
And she's like this major feminist, and I'm like, Oh,
An idiot, pretty much.
Yeah, and then they would criticize. Well, my favorite was Joey was like, yeah, there was something about the pots and pans were too new, and Joey, who's not really a history buff at all, comes in. Well, they didn't buy them used in the Old West.
For continuity's sake, let's go ahead and make this thing already used.
And then somebody was bitching about, Ernest's shirt was too white.
An idiot.
Well, they had Chinese laundries back then.
An idiot.
I wonder what they're going to say about Hal's Magic Pocket.
Well, there's going to always be something. I think that's the hard part about where we are, and I'm not trying to spin this into a political thing because this will be a whole nother what went wrong. But that's the sad part about where we are as a filmmaker myself now. Also, we again, the conversation we had about last night about James Bond having to change for political reasons and things like that. And now, as a writer and as a filmmaker, you now have to sit there and write towards what will work instead of what will entertain.
It's one of the reasons I respect you is because you write what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I like to work with you. That's why I've never
Well,
worked for
and
anyone
I'll tell you what the experience and what I've learned is you can't do what they want.
You can't change
because you're going to get. Even if we had a fully feminist Lady Lawman, we'd still have the guy complaining about the white shirt.
Yeah.
When we made when I went back to school in 2011 to 2013, the big thing was, women are the movies I see, the women I see in movies are always so gorgeous and so beautiful, and where women aren't like that. I make movies and I use real women in mind, and you wouldn't believe the amount of comments we get about, oh, she's too fat, oh, looks like she works at a refrigerator factory, which I still have no idea what that means.
Idiot.
But they get slammed, and it's like, if you want to make money, you're gonna have to put beautiful people in your movie.
Yeah, we were talking about conforming last night.
Well, it's the one thing I said that one time was like, look, guys aren't the ones complaining. It's the chicks that are complaining about that stuff. The whole idea where women have to do this, women have to do that, and it's like, when a guy gets a girlfriend, right, and his other friends ask him, do they ask him what kind of shoes she's wearing? Or what kind of jeans she's got on?
No, they ask her what her butt look like.
What's her butt look like? She got long hair, dark hair. Is she cute as hell? Does she like playing video games? Can we go to the game with her? Is she going to come out and go shooting with us? But you get women in this conversation. Oh, her shoes are this, and look at those pants.
Haters.
Look at that shirt. They're haters. So if women want to complain about women being, shut the fuck up. You're the ones doing this, not us. Almost any chick for us is hot. We all like what we like. If you've ever seen the porn industry, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Shut up, woman. There's also, if you look at like the porn industry, for example, there's BBW, there's Asians, there's women, there's this, there's older. There's all kinds of subjects for everybody because that's what guys are after. If you look for the hot, perfect women, that's a very small segment of the whole thing. Why is it? Because guys aren't into that. Yeah. They're just not. Guys do not particularly care for the skinny, blonde, blah, blah. I mean, there's like a very small segment of guys who want that specific thing, okay? But...
And they're usually a very small, specific type of guy.
They're a specific type of guy anyway.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the comments that are going to be given on women about the way they look and what they're dressed and what they're wearing and their makeup and their hair, blah, blah, blah.
Haters.
That's not the guys doing it.
That's haters.
That's women doing that.
That's haters.
The women are the problem, not us.
That's haters. I'll remove myself from it. I'm not an actor. I've never worked on a ponderous film. I've never been on a not-so-sane film. I've never worked around you guys before. I remove myself from that. And I go in and I see these comments. And these people said this, and these actors were this, and the shirts were too white.
Why does Hal look like the whole time?
I haven't seen that one yet. I don't think that's going to happen. But the first thing that comes to my mind is stop it. I mean, again, removing myself from it. Stop it. Where's your film? Let me see your Western, and let me see how you do your white shirts, and let me see how you do your brand new silverware, and then we'll have a conversation about it. Because if you do it this way, and everything is brand new, and the shirts are stupid, dirty white or whatever, and then you have somebody that comes in and says, "Why did you make your shirts so dirty?" They had Chinese laundries that they could have taken them to and had them cleaned back then. You weren't very historically accurate. I don't like your film. Then what are you gonna say? Now what's your problem?
There's
right?
gonna be a hater on
like
everything.
why not just watch the movie, understand for a fact, now this is me putting myself back into the film, understand for a fact that this film has historical value, it has entertainment value, and it's a lot of fun. It's not, nobody in this, in Lady Lawman is trying to say, this is exactly how it happened. And I promise you, if you see shirts that are too white, call me. Right? Like, what the Nobody was even stepped on the set thinking about shit like that. Like I never saw in the comments, damn, how did you guys get that town set up? That looks like an Old West town. I didn't see anybody come in and say they wouldn't use that kind of wood in that kind of Old West town in 1890.
These people are okay, they absolutely are.
Way to segue in, Jeff.
There's no way to say it otherwise. These are people who have nothing better to do but then bitch about stuff because they've got absolutely nothing in their
How do you really feel about that?
Did you not hear me? I said,
idiots. I thought idiots was just okay. Just idiots.
No, idiots is not nearly good enough for these motherfuckers. Stains, cards. They're the absolute worst.
I think he really likes them.
I do too.
Yes, I like them.
Well, listen. At the end of the
So
day,
if you'd like to see the unedited version of this, if you don't like the beep 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 beeps, head on over to notsosane.com.
And shut your mouth on the comment sections, man. Just watch the damn films. Just enjoy it, man. Like we're in a world where people have been locked up for 2 years, man.
I will say this, because you were asking what is some of the biggest differences that I've seen. We were talking about this on the way home last night. The size of the gag reel at the very end of the film.
Hey.
Blue Moon. How long was the gag reel?
It was longer than the movie.
It was longer than the movie.
Yeah.
How long was it in Return? Well, actually, we couldn't do anything with Return Instance because we could only develop the film. So, do you still have that in your fridge? It was in your fridge for like a decade. Like even with all the other tags, how long was the blooper reels in those?
Yeah.
I don't think the blooper reels are going to be very long in this. There's going to be some, like when I accidentally broke the table last night.
The splitter!
I was sitting on the table and just...
splitter!
All right, enough. Enough is enough. On your feet.
Oh, you got a splinter, didn't you?
And Nikki killing the drone in one of the shots. Oh, I'm sorry, did I hit that too hard? You weren't supposed to hit it, Nikki.
The way we do things, the professionalism of we use words like professionalism and vision and stuff like that. But yeah, time is the greatest instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't have time to make all the mistakes.
Maturity too. I'll put some maturity
But we've made
in there.
a lot of it.
Wisdom.
And that's how I think that's what I was trying to say to sort of wrap it up. It's those years of experience of not just learning to do this or to do that, but to get the years of negative reviews to be able to get past that. Because I mean, you read some of the stuff that have been said about us.
Read them. I've heard them on the streets.
Yeah, most people would go, okay, I'm not doing film anymore. I'm out. If this is okay, but you don't get from the original tag. You don't get from Final Limit or the Macbeth project to tag to Barrio Angels. I mean, look at from the original tag to Barrio Angels, much better. You know, and then progressively to the Innocent Saga, then Vosot. And where I was like, oh, okay, I can make a visually pleasing movie.
Yeah.
The Gay Man's Journey was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Loved that show.
And then to achieve Lady, I could not have made Lady Lawman without the experience and sticking to it and staying with it. And so that's one thing you can say that probably pisses the haters off. You tried, but you didn't get us.
Amen. Mm-hmm.